My husband cheated with my sister, then had the nerve to say, "Can't you take a joke? You lying, cheating bastard." The words burned in my throat as I stared at the damning photos spread across our granite kitchen counter. My husband Derek embracing my own sister Sophia, the two people I trusted most in this world, entangled in a sordid affair. My hands shook as I flipped through image after image, each one a dagger to my heart. Derek's muscular arms wrapped around Sophia's petite waist, her manicured fingers caressing his face, staring into his eyes with undisguised lust. And the worst one, their lips locked in a passionate kiss, brazenly out in public at Central Park without a care in the world. I wanted to scream, to rage, to tear the photos to shreds, but I could only stand there frozen as the magnitude of their betrayal crashed over me in icy waves. 12 years. Over a decade of marriage, of love, of building a life together in our Manhattan brownstone. Did it mean nothing to him? And Sophia, my baby sister. How could she do this to me? I practically raised her after Mom went back to nursing school when Sophia turned 16. She was my best friend, my confidant. I trusted her with everything, even gave her a job at my marketing firm when she graduated from NYU. Bile rose in my throat as my mind raced, trying to process this nightmare. When did it start? All those late nights Derek claimed he was working at his law firm, the weekend Sophia said she was visiting college friends in Boston. God, how far back did this go? Have they been laughing at me this whole time, the naive, trusting fool? The front door slammed, and I heard Derek whistling as he walked in, so carefree, so unburdened, oblivious to the bomb about to detonate our sham of a marriage. "Tinsley, you home, babe?" he called out from the foyer, his voice echoing off our hardwood floors. Babe. The casual endearment made me want to vomit. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out, my throat choked with anguish and rage. His footsteps approached the kitchen, expensive Italian leather shoes clicking against the floor. He sauntered in wearing his tailored Armani suit, his eyes widening as he took in my rigid stance and the photos littering our marble countertop. "Tinsley, I can explain," he started, but I cut him off. "Explain? Explain what?" I hissed, my voice shaking like autumn leaves. "That you've been screwing my sister? That you two have been carrying on an affair behind my back?" Derek at least had the decency to blanch, his tanned face draining of color like spilled milk. "It's not what it looks like. Spare me the clichés." I spat, my southern accent thickening with emotion. "I'm not an idiot, Derek. The pictures don't lie, even if you clearly do." The confrontation had only just begun, but I could already feel my world crumbling beneath my feet. Derek ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, the same gesture that used to make my heart flutter during our courtship at Columbia Law. Now it just made me sick. "Tinsley, please, just let me." "How long?" I demanded, my voice cutting through his excuses like a blade. "How long have you been cheating on me with Sophia?" He looked away, his jaw clenched tight. The silence stretched between us, taut and suffocating like a noose around my neck. "How long, Derek?" I shouted, slamming my hand on the counter so hard our wedding china rattled in the nearby cabinet. 6 months, he said quietly, the words barely above a whisper. "It's been going on for 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of deceit, of betrayal." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut by Mike Tyson himself, the wind knocked completely out of me. My knees buckled, and I gripped the counter edge for support, my knuckles turning white. "I never meant to hurt you," Derek said, taking a tentative step toward me like I was a wounded animal. "We never planned this. It just happened. Don't." I choked out, holding up a trembling hand. "Don't you dare try to justify this." Tears blurred my vision as the pain overwhelmed me like a tsunami. My husband. My sister. The two people I loved most had ripped my heart to shreds, stomped on it, and set it on fire. They destroyed everything I held dear. But then Derek did something that changed everything. He actually had the audacity to smile, that cocky, entitled grin I'd once found charming. "Come on, Tinsley," he said, his tone shifting to something casual, almost dismissive. "Can't you take a joke? It's not like we meant for you to find out like this." I stared at him, my mouth agape. "A joke? You think destroying our marriage is a joke?" He shrugged, straightening his silk tie. "Look, things happen. People grow apart. Maybe this is just the universe's way of telling us it's time to move on. Sophia and I, we have something special. Something real. The casual cruelty of his words hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't remorse. This was dismissal. He was treating 12 years of marriage like it was some college fling he could just laugh off. In that moment, as I drowned in anguish and disbelief, one thought crystallized in my mind with blinding clarity. They would pay for this. Somehow, someway, I would make them suffer as deeply as I was suffering now. This wasn't over. It was only the beginning. I straightened my spine, wiping away my tears with the back of my hand. If Derek wanted to play games, I'd show him what a real player looked like. You're right, I said, my voice deadly calm. Maybe it is time to move on. The smile faded from his face as he caught something dangerous in my tone. Good. Let him wonder. Let him worry. Because Derek Hamilton had no idea what he'd just unleashed. I walked into my parents' lavish living room in their Park Avenue penthouse, my heart pounding against my ribs like a caged bird. Derek and Sophia were already there, sitting together on the cream-colored love seat, their hands intertwined. The sight made my stomach churn worse than bad seafood. My parents sat across from them in matching wingback chairs, their faces etched with concern. They had no idea the bombshell about to be dropped in their pristine world of charity galas and country club dinners. Tinsley, honey, what's this all about? Mom asked, her perfectly styled blonde hair not moving an inch as she tilted her head. Sophia said you had something important to discuss with all of us. I laughed bitterly, the sound echoing off the crystal chandelier above. Oh, I bet she did. Probably couldn't wait to gloat. Sophia had the audacity to look confused, her blue eyes wide with fake innocence. Gloat? Tinsley, what are you talking about? I threw the stack of photos onto the mahogany coffee table like I was dealing cards in Vegas. They fanned out, displaying in lurid detail the extent of Derek and Sophia's betrayal. Mom gasped, her hand flying to her mouth, diamond tennis bracelet catching the light. Dad leaned forward, his weathered face reddening as he flipped through the images with shaking fingers. Someone want to explain this? I asked, my voice shaking with barely contained rage. Derek and Sophia exchanged a glance, a silent communication passing between them like secret lovers in a romance novel. Then Sophia turned to our parents, crocodile tears already forming in her eyes. Mom, Dad, I'm so sorry you had to find out this way, she said, her voice trembling with practiced emotion. But Derek and I, we're in love. I stared at her, aghast at the sheer nerve, the utter lack of remorse. In love. I repeated incredulously. He's my husband, Sophia. Your brother-in-law. How could you do this to me? Sophia had the gall to look sympathetic, like she was consoling me over a broken nail. Tinsley, I never meant to hurt you, but the heart wants what it wants. Surely you can understand that. Understand. I shouted, my carefully maintained composure cracking like thin ice. You're my sister. I trusted you. Derek cleared his throat, adjusting his tie with infuriating calm. Tinsley, please, let's be adults about this. Sophia and I didn't plan this, but we can't deny our feelings. I rounded on him, seething. Shut up, you lying, cheating scumbag. You don't get to lecture me about being an adult. Tinsley. Mom admonished, finally finding her voice. I know you're upset, but that's no way to speak to your husband. I gaped at her, feeling like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole. Are you serious right now? He's been screwing Sophia for months, and you're worried about my language. Dad held up a manicured hand, his Rolex catching the light. Enough. This is a lot to take in. He turned to Derek and Sophia, his expression stern but not nearly angry enough. You two have put us in a very difficult position. We never meant to cause any trouble, Sophia said, all wounded innocence. But Derek and I, we want to be together. We were hoping for your blessing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Blessing? You want our parents' blessing to continue your sordid little affair. Mom reached out, placing her cold hand on my arm. Tinsley, honey, I know this is painful, but if Derek and Sophia have found love together, maybe it's for the best. These things happen in the best families. I yanked my arm away, staring at her in complete disbelief. They were actually choosing sides, and it wasn't mine. We're not choosing sides, Dad said in his boardroom voice, the same tone he used when closing million-dollar real estate deals. But your mother has a point. If their feelings are genuine, who are we to stand in the way of true love? I looked around the room at the faces of my family, really looked at them, and saw nothing but pity and condescension. They actually bought Sophia's act, her crocodile tears and pretty lies. My own flesh and blood, the people who were supposed to protect me, had been completely manipulated. I can't believe this, I said, my voice hollow as an echo in an empty cathedral. My own family, siding with the people who betrayed me. Sophia stood, moving toward me with outstretched arms like some twisted version of a Hallmark movie. Tinsley, please, let's not fight. We're sisters. We can get through this together. I recoiled from her touch like she was carrying the plague. Don't. You're dead to me. Both of you. I turned on my heel and stormed out, hot tears stinging my eyes like angry wasps. I heard my mother calling after me, but I didn't stop, didn't look back. They had made their choice, chosen Derek and Sophia's love over my devastation. My own flesh and blood, so easily manipulated by a few well-placed tears and hollow justifications. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. They thought they could just cast me aside, leave me broken and alone while they played happy families. They had no idea what I was capable of, the depths I would sink to make them pay. The silence in my Tribeca apartment was deafening, broken only by the occasional honk of taxicabs 20 floors below. I sat at my kitchen table, staring blankly at the wall, a half-empty bottle of Macallan whiskey my only companion. It had been a week since my world imploded, a week since I'd walked out of my parents' penthouse, disowned and betrayed. They'd made their choice, and it wasn't me. My iPhone buzzed, jolting me out of my daze. I glanced at the screen, seeing a text from my best friend Rachel. Tinsley, I'm so sorry. I just heard about Derek and Sophia. Are you okay? Do you need anything? I let out a humorless laugh that sounded more like a bark. Okay? I was the furthest thing from okay. My husband was screwing my sister, my family had taken their side, and I was utterly, completely alone in this concrete jungle of a city. I tossed the phone aside, ignoring the message. I couldn't deal with anyone's pity or platitudes right now. A sharp knock at the door made me jump like a cat. I wasn't expecting anyone. For a brief, foolish moment, I thought maybe it was Derek, coming to beg for forgiveness, to tell me it was all some sick nightmare. I yanked open the door, ready to unleash my fury, but it wasn't Derek standing there. It was a man in a crisp navy suit, holding a thick manila envelope. Tinsley Hamilton, he asked, his voice professional and detached as a bank teller's. I nodded wearily. Yes, that's me. He held out the envelope like it contained poison. You've been served. The world tilted sideways as I realized what it was. Divorce papers. Derek was actually filing for divorce, probably so he could marry Sophia and live happily ever after in some twisted fairy tale. I stumbled back inside, ripping open the papers with shaking hands that belonged to someone else. There it was, in cold legal terminology that made my blood freeze. Derek was petitioning for a no-fault divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. He wanted to split our assets evenly, keep his precious law firm, and move on with his life, with Sophia. Rage boiled up inside me, hot and all-consuming like molten lava. How dare he? How dare he try to just walk away like our 12 years together meant nothing more than a bad investment? I grabbed my phone, dialing Derek's number with furious jabs. It rang once, twice, before clicking over to that familiar voicemail. You've reached Derek Hamilton. Leave a message. You coward. I screamed into the phone, pacing my apartment like a caged tiger. You think you can just serve me with divorce papers and wash your hands of me? You think you can just run off with my sister and live happily ever after in your little love nest? My voice was rising with each word, the anger pouring out of me like water from a broken dam. You destroyed our marriage, our life together. You betrayed me in the worst possible way, and now you want to just walk away like it never happened. I let out a harsh, bitter laugh that would have scared me if I'd heard it from someone else. Well, think again, you bastard. You're not getting rid of me that easily. I won't let you just toss me aside like yesterday's garbage. I ended the call, throwing the phone onto my leather couch. My chest heaved with the force of my anger, my hands clenched into fists at my sides. They thought they could just cut me out of their lives, out of the family. They thought they could leave me with nothing while they flaunted their affair, their true love. But they had no idea who they were dealing with. I wasn't some weak, pathetic victim who would just roll over and accept their scraps. No. I was Tinsley Morrison Hamilton, and I was going to make them pay for what they'd done to me. I glanced at the divorce papers scattered across my coffee table, a cold smile curling my lips like winter frost. If they wanted to play dirty, fine. I could play dirty too, and I played to win. I picked up my phone again, scrolling through my contacts until I found the one I was looking for. Jonathan Blackwood, a high-powered divorce attorney known for his ruthless tactics and take-no-prisoners approach. His fees could buy a small country, but he was worth every penny. If Derek and Sophia thought they could just waltz off into the sunset, they had another thing coming. I was going to fight them every step of the way, make their lives a living hell. They had no idea the storm that was coming for them, but they would soon enough. Hurricane Tinsley was about to make landfall, and the forecast called for total destruction. The dingy diner in Queens was perfect for what I needed. Anonymous, forgettable, the kind of place where conversations disappeared into grease-stained walls. I slid into a torn vinyl booth in the back, ignoring the sticky tabletop and the smell of old coffee that had been brewing since the Clinton administration. My phone buzzed. Jonathan Blackwood, my new divorce attorney, with news that made my blood boil hotter than the desert sun. Tinsley, I've got some developments. His voice came through tinny and urgent. Derek filed a motion to have your assets frozen pending the divorce proceedings. I stopped breathing for a moment. He what? He's claiming you're a flight risk, that you'll try to hide money or leave the country. The judge granted the motion temporarily. I saw red, my free hand clenching into a fist that could have punched through steel. That bastard. He's trying to cut me off, leave me with nothing. I'm afraid so. He's playing hardball. Tinsley, we need to be smart about this. Smart? I'd show him smart. I'd show them all exactly how smart Tinsley Hamilton could be when backed into a corner. After hanging up, I scrolled through my contacts, finding the one I needed. Claire Rodriguez, my old Columbia journalism major roommate turned investigative reporter for the New York Times. Claire, I need a favor, I said when she answered. A big one. Name it, she replied without hesitation. That's what I loved about Claire, no questions, just loyalty. I need you to dig up everything you can on Derek. His business dealings, his finances, anything that could be used against him. There was a pause. Tinsley, are you sure about this? It could get messy. I'm sure, I said, steel in my voice. He's trying to ruin me, Claire. I need to fight back with everything I've got. Okay, she said, her tone resolute. I'll see what I can find. But Tinsley, be careful. Don't let this consume you. I laughed, the sound harsh and bitter as black coffee. It's too late for that, Claire. This is war, and I intend to win no matter what it takes. What Claire found over the next few weeks was like striking oil in Texas. Derek hadn't just been cheating on me, he'd been cheating everyone. Bank statements, business records, emails, a paper trail of deceit and corruption that went back years. Derek had been embezzling money from his law firm's client trust accounts, funneling it into offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. He'd been making shady deals, bribing city officials, cutting corners on building permits, all while presenting himself as a pillar of the legal community. It made me sick, knowing I'd been married to such a fraud. But it also gave me the ammunition I needed to take him down completely. I sat at my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard as I composed the email that would end Derek's world. FBI, IRS, New York State Bar Association, the Times, anyone who could expose Derek's crimes and bring him to justice. But I hesitated. This wouldn't just destroy Derek. It would drag my family through the mud too. My parents, who had chosen his side but were still my blood. A knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. My heart stopped when I saw who it was through the peephole. Sophia. I yanked open the door, glaring at my sister like she was the devil himself. What the hell are you doing here? She pushed past me without invitation, her designer heels clicking on my hardwood floors. We need to talk, Tinsley. I slammed the door shut. I have nothing to say to you. Sophia spun to face me, her expression a mask of fake concern. Please, just hear me out. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be, but this vendetta, this path you're on, it's not going to end well. I laughed, the sound as sharp as broken glass. And you care so much about my well-being? The sister who stole my husband? Who ruined my life? She flinched but stood her ground like she was auditioning for a soap opera. I'm not going to apologize for falling in love, Tinsley. I know it hurts, but sometimes these things just happen. I saw red, my hands clenching into fists. Falling in love? Is that what you call it? Betraying me, lying to me, sneaking around behind my back for months. Sophia had the audacity to look wounded. It wasn't like that. We never meant to hurt you. But you did. I screamed, finally letting the dam break. You destroyed everything. My marriage, my family, my whole damn life. Tears streamed down my face, hot and angry as molten steel. Sophia reached for me, but I slapped her hand away. Don't you dare touch me, I hissed. You lost that right the second you climbed into bed with my husband. Sophia's face hardened, her mask finally slipping. Fine. You want to wallow in your bitterness and rage? Go ahead. But I'm warning you, Tinsley, if you go through with this, if you try to take Derek down, you'll only be hurting yourself in the end. I stepped closer, my voice low and deadly as a whisper in a graveyard. Is that a threat? She met my gaze unflinchingly. It's a promise. Derek has powerful friends, Tinsley. People who won't take kindly to you dragging his name through the mud. You have no idea what you're up against. I smiled, cold and vicious as a winter storm. Neither do you, dear sister. Neither do you. I opened the door, gesturing for her to leave. Get out. And don't ever come back here again. Sophia shook her head, her expression almost pitying. I hope you know what you're doing, Tinsley. I really do. She walked out, and I slammed the door behind her, sagging against it as my heart raced with adrenaline. Sophia thought she could intimidate me, scare me off with vague threats and warnings. But she underestimated me. They all did. I straightened, squaring my shoulders. I marched back to my laptop, pulling up the email that would end Derek's career, his freedom, his precious new life with Sophia. My finger hovered over the mouse, just a single click away from sending Derek's world crashing down around him. Sophia wanted to play hardball? Fine. Game on. I hit send, a grim smile stretching across my face like a battle scar. Let the chips fall where they may. I was all in, no matter the cost. 6 months later, I watched the news with grim satisfaction, sipping my morning coffee as the reporter's words washed over me like a twisted lullaby. Derek Hamilton, prominent Manhattan attorney and philanthropist, was sentenced today to 15 years in federal prison on charges of embezzlement, fraud, and bribery. If convicted on all counts, Hamilton could face up to 25 years behind bars. The screen flashed to footage of Derek being led out of the courthouse in handcuffs, his face a mask of shock and rage. Sophia stood beside him, her own legal troubles mounting as investigators uncovered her role in the scheme. I raised my coffee mug in a mock toast to the television. Here's to getting exactly what you deserve. My phone buzzed with a call from my mother, the first time she'd contacted me since choosing Derek and Sophia's side. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to her tearful message begging me to call back, to fix this mess. Too little, too late. I deleted the message and poured myself another cup of coffee. Outside my window, New York City hummed with life and possibility. I had won the war, but the victory tasted like ashes in my mouth. Derek and Sophia were destroyed, my family was shattered, and I was utterly alone. But I was also free to rebuild, to start over, to become whoever I wanted to be without their lies and betrayal weighing me down. I raised my mug again, this time to my reflection in the window. Here's to new beginnings, Tinsley Hamilton. Here's to the rest of your life. The future stretched out before me, uncertain but mine alone to shape. And that was enough. It had to be.